Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Heather Lewis, and today we are going to be flipping two nightstands that I found off the side of the curb. And so if that's something that you are interested in, just keep on watching. Hello everyone, here are the nightstands we are going to be working on today. I actually picked these up on the side of the curb on garbage day, so two more pieces that I got for free. Now these aren't in the best condition, but I definitely think we can help them out a little bit. It looks like the previous owner tried to tape the drawers shut for a move or something, and because these nightstands aren't real wood, it stripped the sticker-like material off and they ended up trashing them. They removed some of the stickers, but I just went ahead and started taking off the rest. Basically, what's done is done. The tape needs to be removed, so there's nothing that we can really do about it now. Once the tape was removed, I am starting to remove the hardware. Unfortunately, one of the hardware pieces is missing, so in order to match these two nightstands, I will have to use new hardware. While removing the hardware, I am also taking the drawers out and setting them aside. After that has been taken care of, I am grabbing my wood filler and filling in the existing hardware holes because I just mentioned that we cannot keep this hardware. Although I really do love this color changing wood filler, you do have to be careful because if you let it dry out, it can't be used anymore. I want to take a second to show you what good wood filler looks like and what bad wood filler looks like. You can see the bigger container is yellowed, and that wouldn't be good to use because it has partly dried. And now the pink is good to use because it's still fresh and super soft. I'm taking a break from applying the wood filler to work on removing these decorative pieces. I started off by using my putty knife and a hammer to kind of wedge in between and rip them off that way. Later you'll see that I noticed there were nails screwed into it from the inside, so I unscrewed those, which made them much easier to remove. If there weren't those nails, I would be continuing this method of hammering my putty knife into the side of the piece. This middle section here didn't have any screws on the inside, so I did use my putty knife and hammer to wedge it off that way. After removing the decorative pieces, there were some tiny nails left behind, so I used this tool, which I believe is called a cat's paw, to get those out. There's also what looked like some dried candle wax on the top of the nightstands, so I got my putty knife and easily scraped it off that way. Then finally I got to cleaning both of the pieces. I filled up my bucket with warm water and Dawn dish soap and made sure to really scrub the piece since they were outside near the dump. After they were all cleaned off, I went back with just regular raw water and rinsed it off. Once the pieces were dry, I started scuff sanding the piece a little bit, and I wanted to get started on working on this bottom corner piece on one of the nightstands. These nightstands are made of very cheap material, and there was definitely some water damage, which made the cardboard-like material feather out. Now there's not much that can be done in this situation, but I did my best to repair it by sanding it down as much as I could and filling it with a heaping amount of wood filler that I let dry overnight. While I had my wood filler out, I started filling in the rest of the holes where the decorative pieces were and any other holes or scuffs or scratches that were on these nightstands to try to make an even and smooth surface. By morning, all of the wood filler was dry and I was able to go in with a 220 grit sandpaper to start removing the excess wood filler. I tipped this nightstand down to work on that corner edge where the cardboard-like materials started feathering out. Of course, I'm not going to be able to get this perfect, but hopefully it's better than what it was before. At one point, I switched to an 80 grit sandpaper, and then I went back in with a paper towel to wipe off all the dust to prepare for priming. For primer, I am using my Zinsser 321 primer. I'm definitely making sure to prime this piece, not because I'm worried about the bleed through, but because some of the finish was stripped off from the tape and I don't want that to show through in my paint. As you saw in the very beginning of the video, the tops are a very beautiful marble-like design, and for that reason I am not going to be painting them, so hopefully I can salvage a little bit of this nightstand instead of having to change absolutely everything up. I had to let the primer dry for a couple hours, but when it was dry, I went in with Beyond Paint in the color Pebble. I think that this gray will go really well with the marble top. Beyond Paint recommends rolling on the paint and using a chip brush in the places that you can't roll it on. I didn't have a chip brush at this time, so I did just use a regular brush, but I think it turned out just fine. You can see I'm starting with the drawers, and I like to do this because I can use my rollers on the entire surface. I do want to remind you that with Beyond Paint, you do not have to prime, but I was a little bit worried about the areas where the tape ripped the surface off once again, so I did prime just in case as an extra precaution. As soon as the first coat had dried up, I went in with a second coat. Some people like to sand in between coats, especially with that roller texture, which you will get because you are rolling it onto the piece. But I didn't find it to be very textured myself, so I just went straight into the second coat. Once the second coat was dry, all we had to do was put the hardware on, and now we're ready for the final reveal. Now I know these aren't in the most perfect condition, but we definitely got them to the state where they can be used and cherished in somebody's home. Not much more that could have been done to that bottom corner where the cardboard-like material was fraying, so using the wood filler or an alternative could have been Bondo was the best that we could do in that situation. There are also a few slight imperfections on the tops, but I love the marble so much that I was able to look past the little bit of imperfection in order to keep those marble. At the end of the day, these nightstands are definitely better than they were before they were put into my hands, and I do think that someone is going to love them in their home. Regardless, now that these pieces are finished, they do not deserve to be on the curb. Now let's go over the numbers. So as I've mentioned a few times, I got these pieces on the side of the curb. It was garbage day. The garbage man was going to pick them up if I hadn't. So I got these on the curb for free. Paint that I used was Beyond Paint in the color Pebble, and I didn't use a lot of it, so I want to say that I put about $5 in. The rest of the materials that I had aren't even worth putting in because I barely used any. This includes the hardware as well. I've been using this hardware quite a bit, but it was gifted to me, so I've got them for free, and that makes our all-in total at $5 with just the Beyond Paint. Because there are still a few slight imperfections, I am going to be listing these a little bit lower than I would have if they were in perfect condition. So I am going to be listing them on Marketplace for $125. That'll make our profits $120 for these flips. I think $120 is a really good profit margin, especially when I found these on the curb and it only took me about a day to do. Otherwise, that's going to end today's video, you guys. If you like this type of content, please make sure that you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we keep on growing this community. Otherwise, that is going to be it for today's video, you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!